going on, guys? I am back with a breakdown of Tuesday's slate. That's October 31st. I've got Fanduel and Draftkings up on the screen right now. There's only 4 games. Should be able to work through it pretty quick. And I know everybody was looking to see some of the Draftkings stuff, so I'm going to take a look at both of them. I'm going to start off looking at Indiana. They've got a date with the Kings. Right now the line is Pacers -5.5, total 210, so that looks pretty good. All the totals for tomorrow look pretty good. Obviously the Phoenix-Brooklyn one at 230 is going to be quite the track meet. So let's take a look here. I'm going to start looking at FanDuel first, and then we'll bounce over to DK. I've been all over Victor Oladipo so far this year. This is, it's his team. He's been playing pretty well so far. This is his FanDuel breakdown, which I'm just going to leave here. It's going to be comparable for DK. For Oladipo, he's going to need 5x. That's 39.5. My projections actually hate him. I probably need to bump up his usage. I assume he's been using more than 23% of his possessions. Let's take a quick look here. I was just taking a look at Westbrook as well, oddly enough. So if I check out Oladipo's game logs, yeah, he's been using 27, 28, 29, 30, somewhere in that area. I'm going to bump him up to like 28 for tomorrow and see how that adjusts. And these are the same things that you can do in the Google Sheet. You can always make adjustments to usage. They take a little bit of time for my stats to work their way through. So let's bump up Oladipo to 28%. I'll refresh my tables. We'll see if he comes out a little bit better. Yeah, now we're up to 32.3, which seems a little bit more likely. 39.5 is going to get him 5x. He's been putting that up in quite a few games. It's not as if the Kings are going to be some incredible guard defending team, so I'd say for sure Oladipo looks like someone I would want to focus on for tomorrow. He looks good at DK as well. I would have no problem using him in either setting. And again, with 4 games, you have to cast a little bit wider of a net. Let's see who else we want to take a look at here. Bogdanovic, I mean, he gets the minutes, but it's just shooting and nothing else. You're just as likely to get 27.6 as you are to get 7 or 8. So in GPPs, he's probably fine. I would struggle to use him in a cash game. So the only other person that I would probably take a look at is Thad Young. Sabonis has some sort of, I want to say it was a respiratory infection, so I would keep an eye on him there. That could open up some playing time for some other guys if for some reason Sabonis can't go. Miles Turner's still out. So I think Thad Young's probably in a pretty good spot. Needs 29 to hit 5x, and he can get there. The Kings aren't the best matchup from a defensive perspective. So I think Thad Young looks good as well. He's steady, so I would stick to him for only cash games. And I think that holds for DK as well. Other than that, there's not too many options. I don't really like Darren Collison. Neither do my projections. He has been just putting up the mid-20s numbers, and every once in a while he's just going and bombing a 45 burger. So it's boom or bust, and that's not a spot that I'm looking for right now. So let's switch over to Sacramento. So first guy that jumps off the list to me is De'Aaron Fox, but the Kings are tricky. They're playing really weird rotations, short minutes. it's hard to get a feel. I mean, they ran what? That's 13 guys 2 nights ago, 11 here. They ran 13 a couple nights ago. It's hard to get confident about anybody's minutes. Fox laid an egg yesterday when you're listening to this, probably 2 days ago. Only 10, but I think it's a pretty good spot. 5,300 is not bad. It's, again, 4-game slate, so I am going to add him to my short list and take a look deeper at him. George Hill should be back. Randolph is dinged a little bit, so things might change on the big man side, but right now I'd say Fox looks good. I think Bogdan looks pretty solid. He's put up 24-6. 16 is not the best, then 30. At a price of 4,500, he only needs 22, so it doesn't look like his price is recovered there yet. So I think he is definitely worth a look at shooting guard tomorrow. A little bit better than his brother from a fantasy perspective, at least for tomorrow. And then Willie Cauley-Stein. He's in a good spot, especially if Sabonis can't go. They're going to be really thin there. He had a monster first game of the season. Nothing crazy since then. Needs to get to 26.5. It's not a bad look. I'm not going to mark him down on the short list just yet, but I think that he's definitely worth exploring. There's not going to be a ton of center options across this group of games. For DK, Fox is a little bit more expensive there, which I don't love. He's still in play for me, but I don't like him as much as I do on Fanduel. And then Bogdanovich still looks good to me, especially with the extra half point for threes. That plays into his hand a little bit more. And then I think Willie Cauley-Stein is still in play as well. So now let's hop over to Brooklyn. It's another team that's just playing an endless supply of guys. 13 guys got minutes 2 nights ago, 13 again. It's just so hard. Spencer Dinwiddie goes from 22 minutes to 30. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson from 17 to 30. There's no rhyme or reason for some of these guys. If I had to play anybody on this side from FanDuel perspective, I think Rondae Hollis-Jefferson looks pretty good. I've got him at 27 minutes right now. That's a projection of 29.9, which is actually above his 5x projection. If he's going to get the minutes, I think that's a really good spot, but you just got to hope that he does. But if he's getting anything over 25 minutes, I think he's in a really great spot. So I'm going to go ahead and add him. It's a tricky 4-game slate. D'Angelo Russell needing 35. I don't trust the minutes. If he's going to get the 29 and 30 that he was getting before he missed that game, sure. But if he's doing 18 or 24, that's going to be tricky. It's not a good spot for him if he's not getting the minutes. So I think that I would probably only touch Hollis-Jefferson here because I can't make heads or tails out of who's getting the minutes. And then I think Hollis-Jefferson still looks good at DK as well. And I don't see anybody else that's like a major value. Let's move that up to... Got some weird eligibilities at Draftkings. Like point guard, small forward. How is that even... That shouldn't even be a thing. But I don't know. Maybe that's why I don't focus on DK as much. You shouldn't be playing the 1 or the 3. I don't know how you don't get eligibility for the 2 at that point as well. Who knows? So now let's take a look at Phoenix, which should just be a pretty interesting spot of likes, even though they're absolutely garbage. This is just an atrocious basketball team. Atrocious franchise, too. Devin Booker at 72, needing 36 on Fanduel. Yeah, I love it. Sign me up. It's his team now. 72 looks great. A little bit more expensive on DK. I'd still fire him up there, especially with the dual eligibility. It makes it a little bit easier to fit him in. Next guy I'd want to look at. I don't like Marquise Chris. He is not a very good basketball player, but I think he's getting a little bit more confidence now that they made the coaching change. He got those 29 minutes in that first game. It's tailed off a little bit. Now they're giving the minutes to Bender, but I think 4,700 is still pretty expensive. I like Chris on DK. I probably wouldn't touch him on FanDuel. I'd probably take a look at Bender on FanDuel and DK for that matter as a value play at power forward, or in this case power forward or center on DK. I want to get an idea. Right now I have Bender only at 22 minutes. It's possible I bump that up. He got 28 in his last go. So I'm hoping that, he got 23.4 FanDuel points, which would be way more than the value needed. So I think Bender's definitely in play as a punt play there if you need to pay up for other positions. And then you can probably get by rostering one of Tyler Ulis or Mike James. I probably wouldn't touch James on DK. It doesn't look very interesting to me as far as I'm concerned. Tyson Chandler looks alright if he's going to get 25 minutes. It's a solid cash play. Not much more or less to say there. You would think with a game with a total of 230 would be value all over the place, but both of these teams are just playing weird amounts of minutes. I've been trying to roster TJ Warren, and that keeps going really poorly. I get him on the days where he drops 17 or 13. I never get him when he drops 42 or 36. So if you think he's in a good spot matchup-wise, then I'd be fine with rostering TJ Warren, but he's not on my short list just because he scares me. He's been so up and down. I think he's taken to that money a little too well. Let's check out Milwaukee, as if we don't know immediately who needs to be rostered here. What's the line for the Milwaukee game? Oklahoma City -1.5, 213 total. Giannis is 12-6 on FanDuel, 12-5 on DK. There's the point guard small forward again. At least with Giannis it sort of makes more sense. I mean, if you're playing a cash game, especially on a 4-game slate, I faded Giannis on the short slate a couple days ago, and that didn't go well for me. Whatever night that him and Cousins were both the two major guys, ended up laying an egg. I mean, he's going to be good for 50. It's going to be hard for him to not get there. Although if there's a situation where he's not going to get there, I think Oklahoma City could be that. They've got a lot of different bodies defensively to throw at him, but I'm not sure there's anybody on the planet right now that can guard him. 63 is 5x. That's a big number, and he's done it twice, full stop, and had 2 other games over 60. So, yeah, I mean, he needs to be on every short list almost always, especially in cash. It's not the best matchup, but it's still, he's a guy that is dominant right now. He's playing on a whole other level. Did I spell that right? Yeah, I think I did. Cool. Okay. Otherwise, so Greg Monroe is out. He's going to be missing a couple games. I don't really remember what the reasoning was behind it. So I think John Henson is in play. I've got him playing 26 minutes. He played 28 minutes in the last game with Monroe out and put up 39. He only needs to get to 24, so he's definitely worth a look. From there, he looks even better on DK, although it would have been nice to see, dual eligibility. I think Thon might be worth a look in DK just because of that price point. I only have him at 18 minutes right now. I want to take a deeper look to see if he's going to get any additional minutes. He played 20 with Greg Monroe out, so if he can get into the 20, 21, 22 range, he looks like a pretty good play at 3,100. Take a sip of water here. Throat's killing me. So other than Giannis and Henson, I don't love any of the backcourt. Brogdon needs to get to 31. He's been steady, but I don't see it. Although it's possible that he plays heavy minutes, just because this game is supposed to be tight. So it could be worth thinking about him having some upside from a minutes perspective. I know he usually gets some extended run. I only have him at 33, but 36 and 41 minutes he's played in games this year, so it's possible. Then Middleton, he needs 36.5 on Fanduel. Looks a little bit better on DK. He's coming off that big game 2 nights ago. I could see it. I wouldn't lock him in immediately, but I can see that being a situation where I end up with him. But from this game is Giannis and Henson. I'll hop to OKC. That's still Milwaukee. I like Westbrook a lot. I'm just going to load him in right now. He needs 55. And other than that weird, 34-point game here, he should be high 40s, low 50s as a floor, with the ability to just sort of go ham. Take a look at Paul George and Melo. They both need, let's say, 38, basically. George has been better lately. Short minutes here kind of skews their totals. I think Melo looks pretty safe. I don't see the upside, though. I'm anxious to see who is guarding Giannis. I mean, it's probably going to be a lot of Paul George, which might not be the best for him on the offensive end. So, thinking about it like that, this could be a pretty good spot for Melo. I want to do a little bit more digging there. I probably won't end up with Paul George because it feels like a weird spot, but if you guys think that he lines up well here, I mean, I don't hate it. It just scares me a little bit. Other than that, I don't want any part of anybody else in this game. We'll hop over to the Lakers. This line is Detroit -4, 209 total. Lonzo, 7,200 on FanDuel, needs 36. I don't see it. That's not a spot for Lonzo for me. A little too high in salary. I'd like him a little bit more in like the 6,700 range, maybe. He's just a couple $100 too high. What do you think about KCP? Needs 25. He should be scoring more. Detroit's not good, but I don't see it. I won't roster him. Brandon Ingram put up 31 in his last time out. Needs 28 for value. He's been up and down. See, he'd probably be getting a lot of, Stanley Johnson? Or Tobias Harris, maybe? I don't really like anything on the Lakers on either site. If Brook Lopez were getting more minutes, I'd love him. This is one of those situations where you'll see, he's getting double green lights here. His usage is probably way too high for what he's playing. Let me make that adjustment. That'll probably knock him down a little bit, bump up some other guys. Brook Lopez's stats are basically fully based on Brooklyn's rates. Now he is still getting some pretty high usage. He did 30 in the opener. He's probably a little too high. He's at 31 there. I'm going to bump him down to 28. What'd that move him to? There we go. Yeah, so that pulls him down a little bit. If he were getting more minutes, I would love him. He's an efficient player, and that's why his projections are always going to look good in short minutes. But I don't see the high upside for him if he's going to get, 18 minutes in a game. He's going to be really efficient in the time that he plays, but there's no... You're banking on him playing more minutes because he's playing well and not based on anything else. So I don't see anything else for the Lakers. Or I don't see anything really for the Lakers. That might be too narrow of a look, but let's take a look at Detroit, which I think is going to house a couple plays that I like. Drummond at 92. 82 on DK. What's he need to get to? 46? Yeah, so Drummond is a amazing play for tomorrow. Almost definitely going to be my center. I'd be shocked if I ended up somewhere else. Just judging on everything I've seen. I think you almost have to have Drummond in a lineup tomorrow just because of everybody else that's playing. Now, I've had Avery Bradley on his stinkers. I haven't had him on these 30-point games. It should be a good spot for him. I didn't even think about the KCP revenge game narrative, which I don't believe in at all. But he could come to play hard tomorrow. He might be worth a look. If you're into that sort of stuff, KCP might be worth a look tomorrow. He might be trying to stick it to his old team. Because they kind of, I don't want to say they did him dirty, but, they renounced him. I mean, he's getting paid now, so he's probably fine with it, but it's just going to be him and Avery Bradley just going ham on each other, unless they put Avery Bradley on Lonzo to just make his life a living hell, but that could be fun. Stanley Johnson at 4,500. If he's getting minutes and he only needs to get to 22, I'm in for that. He's going to get on the short list there. Tobias Harris is another one where I will get him on the wrong day. I've for sure had him here on this 14.8, and he bookended that with 40 and almost 50. So I think he looks good tomorrow, which means that he's probably going to be shit. That's just usually how Tobias Harris works out for me. But he looks like he's in a good spot. I feel like I haven't looked at anything of Reggie Jackson's for the entire year. 31.5 is needed for 5K on Fanduel. I could see it. I can see Reggie Jackson having a decent game. Just going at Lonzo pretty hard. That's 3 Pistons. I won't end up. I hope I don't end up with 3 Pistons because they could just as easily get smacked because I don't think they're very good. I don't think Stan Van Gundy is long for the league at this point. So that's basically it. I'm going to open up the positional looks and just give it one last peek. So on FanDuel at point guard, I definitely like Russ. I can see using Reggie Jackson and Fox. Man, it's going to be tough to make some of these fits work. We almost need some late injury news to bring some value plays in. Because if I'm trying to fit in to get Russ and Giannis in the same lineup, you're gonna have to make some major concessions across the rest of it. I like Depot and Booker. I mean, KCP I might have just talked myself into KCP's revenge narrative just because he's only 5K. Although, barring any weird news, I'd say Bogdanovich from the Kings is going to be, without question, one of my shooting guards because I'm going to need the value elsewhere. Small forward. I mean, it's going to be hard to not have Giannis in a lineup tomorrow because he's amazing. I'd love to use TJ Warren. This seems like a great spot for Stanley Johnson and Giannis. And then you're looking at, what's that total? 17-1. So you need, is that like 80? It's too late to be doing math. 85. 85 between Giannis and Stanley Johnson. Why not? 85 between Giannis and Stanley Johnson to go and get 5K. I could see it. That power forward, probably Rondé Hollis Jefferson and John Henson. Maybe Bender if you think that the minutes are going to jump. In fact, it probably almost has to be Bender if you want to try to fit those guys in. Bring Bender in at 34, hope for the best. And then at center, I mean, it's just, I don't see any other option other than Andre Drummond. His ownership should be insane, although it might be tough fitting everybody else in. But his cash ownership percentage is going to be through the roof. It's a little harder to look at this stuff position by position on DK just because of the breakdown. So right now I have it filtered for anybody at point guard. So Giannis looks great, Westbrook looks great, Oladipo looks great. If you're looking to fit in any value plays, I mean, the best you're gonna do is probably De'Aaron Fox. I mean, one of these guys down here is gonna hit something, but neither of them stand out really. Let's take a look at shooting guard. So I like Booker, Depot, the KCP revenge game, Bogdan. There's a lot of options. Stanley Johnson too. A lot of options at shooting guard tomorrow on DK. You should be able to fit whatever you need there. I'd imagine 3 shooting guards is probably going to be possible, which I feel like I would never have said in the past. And then at small forward, you're getting a lot of those same guys that are popped at shooting guard, so you're going to be able to split those guys up. And you're going to need some of these Bogdan type characters if you want to try to fit in Giannis at 12.5 on a DK salary cap. That's a tough squeeze. Power forward, keep an eye on Sabonis. That could be a spot where 27 minutes gets opened up and you end up having a shot to run out TJ Leaf at a min salary. Because if Sabonis can't go, they're going to need a lot of minutes from Al Jefferson, TJ Leaf, and other generic dudes that are at the end of Pacers bench. Some sort of combination of Chris or Bender is going to be almost a necessity. And then Thonmaker at 31 looks great if you think he's going to get extra minutes because of Monroe being out. And then finally at center on DK, I think it's just the Drummond show, although at least with DK you have the options to drop down to someone like Chris or even Thon and Bender. Drummond isn't as much of a lock to me, although his price is so much better, but he's kind of wide open on DK. And again, I haven't been playing on DK really at all this year. I got into a couple of the Reddit DFS contests just through lineups in, but I've been focusing more on Fanduel, so maybe I'll try to put together a lineup for DK tomorrow as well. But yeah, Fanduel's been my focus, so I might be speaking a little bit out of school on some of the logistics on salaries here. But anyway, that's it. 4-game slate for tomorrow. That Milwaukee-Oklahoma City game looks like the only game that anyone should watch, unless you're a big Lonzo guy. So with that said, that's everything, guys. Like it if you like it. Subscribe if you want to see more. I'm going to try to do these as much as I can. A little under the weather right now, but I wanted to make sure I churned this out because it looked like the reception for the first one was pretty good. Have a good night or morning whenever you see this, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.